Hi everybody. If you follow me, then you know who I am. For those that don't follow me, my name is Eduardo Juarez Jr. I consider myself to be an independent animator, and normally I don't post videos of myself in my channel. I try to post things, my animation, my short animated stories. But since I'm not able to quickly mass produce animated shorts, I decided to once in a while post this kind of videos where I talk about myself or my animation. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cleaning up some of my key drawings for this animated scene I'm working on. I'm not going to go into specific where it is because I want everybody to see the grand finale. But as I'm doing some work, at least on this specific one, I'll be talking about a little bit of why I got involved in animation and what got me into it. So while I'm cleaning up the drawings. I'll be talking about it. I already cleaned up a couple of them, 2 or 3 frames, keyframes. So I'm just gonna finish the rest of them, and as I do so, you'll be hearing me talk. All right. So, like I said, I had already done some cleanup drawing. As you can see, this is the original pencil drawing. It's kind of like I lower the opacity to do the cleanup. Here's another one, and like I said before, these are just key drawings. See, this is where I left off. These are just key drawings. For those of you that don't know, key drawings are basically the main poses in an arc of movement. In this case, this character is gonna sit down. I don't have the background with me here, but see, he's taking a seat, sits down, looks outside the window of wherever he's sitting at. He leans forward. So that's just for this scene. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about specifics of what animation I'm doing, but this is Lalo's World episode 2, and for you guys that don't know, Lalo's World is a comic book, a self-published comic book that I've been doing since, well, I started doing it in 2001. Then I decided early last year that I was gonna more or less animate it. I'm just trying to make sure that I have the on the right layer. I was gonna animate my self-published comic book, Lalo's World, but what I really want to talk about is what got me into animation. Well, I've been drawing since I was a kid. Ever since, as far as I can remember, I've always been fascinated with drawing. Even before I knew I wanted to be an animator, I just knew I liked drawing, and it all kind of stems out from, and I can trace it back to one day visiting an uncle of mine in Mexico, because that's where I'm from. I remember vividly walking into his house, and on his one of his, I'm guessing it was his dining table or a table, he had a large piece of paper, and in it he had a drawing of a coin. It seemed like he was designing a coin, and I remember being fascinated by it. And I think he was designing it for a company. I don't remember much. Unfortunately, my uncle passed away a couple years ago, so it's not like I could call him back and ask him, "Hey, uncle, what were you doing that coin for?" But he was designing. He was a graphic designer, and back in those days there was no Photoshop, so everything had to be hand drawn, hands-on techniques, and so that's how far I can trace when I got fascinated with drawing. And I remember if not the year that we came to the United States, but a year before, I kind of did kind of like a little comic book for one of my cousins who was younger than me. And I faintly remember it was a comic book about this boy that was living in sort of like a kind of like a water world where everything was full of water, and I think he needed to hop from the tops of buildings that happened to be just above the water, and he was just hopping around. And I think it was like about 6 to 8 issues, I mean pages, and I kind of like crudely painted. I remember I used a lot of blue because it was obviously water, and ever since then I started drawing. But again, not interested in doing animation because in Mexico, at least in those days, there was no such career job. I mean, I didn't even know you could do a career out of drawing. Like I said, I saw my uncle designing something, but not once did I think that he was making money. It was something that he did. So yeah, so I didn't know it was something that he was getting paid for. It's just something he did. And it wasn't until I came to the U.S. When I was in 8th grade that it was actually when I was in middle school when I found out that yes, indeed, you can get a job drawing. And when I was a little kid, I remember watching The Simpsons with my cousins, my older cousins. And I remember that they used to really enjoy watching The Simpsons. I remember the very first Simpson episode I saw was the episode where Bart cuts off the head of the Jeremiah Springfield statue. I remember that was the very first episode I ever saw with my cousins, and I was fascinated. I thought it was funny, but that was that. And then when I came to the U.S. is when I found out that like you can make a career out of drawing. But at first, I remember I wanted to be an astronaut. That's the thing I really got fascinated. I remember when Apollo 13, the movie came out. That's when I was like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. The adventure and everything that came with it. That's what I wanted to do. I got fascinated with the Apollo mission. I remember I used to hand draw studies of the Saturn V rocket and the Apollo capsule and everything. I was fascinated with that, and I actually still have I still have all those drawings from the Apollo mission. And then eventually I found out that it's not that easy to become an astronaut, and those dreams just sort of faded away from the reality that is not everybody can make it. So there was one day when I was in 8th grade, this guy from the high school that I would eventually end up going came talking about a magnet program, the animation magnet program. And that's when I was kind of like, yes, that's what I want to do. That's when I was like, I could make a career of this, something I want to do. And the first thing that came to mind is like, I want to work for The Simpsons. And I remember my first day in high school. As soon as I saw the first light table in the classroom, as soon as I was able to sit down in front of an animation table, I started like drawing The Simpsons, or this little short animation of Homer running around. And it was not part of any homework or anything. I just started doing it on my own. Now, this is one of the things that I even till now I wonder, how in the hell did I knew how to do animation? It was so natural for me. Because I remember the very first thing I animated was a little rung cycle of like Mario, like from the Mario Brother games. I had a regular binder, and I used it to draw several frames of Mario running around shooting fire from his hand, just like in the game. And it just never once did I see anything that kind of, at least not something that I can remember right now, where it's like, oh, so that's how you do animation. It takes a bunch of drawings, put them together, and then you just flip the pages. It's just, I don't know. I still can't remember where I got it from. Probably I saw something on TV that showed the techniques or behind the scenes, but the point is I can't remember where it dawned on me. Like it requires a bunch of different frames to make an action sequence. So with that said, so when I sat down in front of the animation table on my first day of high school and I started drawing Homer running around, I already knew that it took this many frames to make a run cycle. And then as the school year went on, I kept adding to it till finally I got a whole more than a minute long sequence of Homer chasing Bart, grabbing him, strangling him, and then kicking him through the air. So that was when I really wanted to work in animation. It was just the whole, like, it's the whole exposure that I have with my uncle, and how I was fascinated with him designing a coin. Now, like I said, I don't know what that was for, but he did it. I saw it, and that's when I figured that drawing was something that I wanted to do. And then when I came to the US, when I knew that you could make a career out of it, that's when I knew that I wanted to become a professional animator. Okay, so I just bring this down to 50, and that should be enough to make the lines darker. Alright, well, I wanted to make this a short video. Just I show you my process of cleaning up. Normally after this, once I have all the clean drawings, keyframes, I send them to Harmony, and then that's when I animate. That noise is my dog. He just arrived. Anyways, well, once I'm done with the cleanup drawings, I take them to Harmony, and then that's when I animate the keyframes, the in-betweens. My bad. Just trying to think of a lot of things at the same time. So anyway, so yeah, just give you a quick background of why I decided to become an animator, and I hope I didn't bore you. I know I have a really monotone kind of voice and a heavy accent, but I hope you enjoy this. All right, bye.